not ignoring anyone, but if you can hear me, please give me the thumbs up, as I always request, because I don't trust technology. I never will. And that's coming from someone that's actually been using technology since it literally came out, before the internet, after the internet, and now with new so-called artificial intelligence, etc., etc., and the so-called technological advancements that so-called man has been able to perform. I don't trust technology. It's as simple as that. It's got worse and worse in regards to the invasion of privacy. It's got worse and worse in regards to, how it actually collects information on a being. Do you understand? Hey, Kerry, how are you? Much love. I didn't know what to title this video, but I'm going to title it stop I don't know, I might even change the bloody title at some point. Stop trying to be normal is really what I want to title this video. Stop trying to be normal. Sorry, I'm putting the title in now as I'm actually doing this broadcast. Yes, I'm multitasking. Could you imagine that? A male in England that is multitasking. Wow. How amazing. This message, by the way, is specifically to people in Britain. Yeah, Tabitha King, much love. Harlem, much love. And thanks for watching, by the way. All of you, thanks for watching and taking your energy to watch this broadcast, because I know that you could be doing something else. You might, think that this video halfway through is a bit boring, or it's a bit long, or whatever, and then just lose interest. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. I'm not, really that concerned. Most of these videos that I do is because there is somebody somewhere, somehow, that needs to either listen to or hear this message, and maybe needs to understand and understand that you're not the only one going through shit right now. Actually, there's probably thousands, if not maybe 1 million of us going through a lot of shit right now. Do you understand? But unfortunately, the isolation that we're in right now, and especially if you're in a country that is enforcing the pandemic, and I'm using the correct terminology, if you're in a country, corporation that is enforcing the pandemic, yeah, it's not just, giving you so-called guidelines as the, Boris and other individuals that are in government are suggesting. No, they're enforcing the so-called pandemic onto us. Okay, so when you enforce something, that's slightly different from when you're actually just sharing guidelines with people. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Greetings, brother. Yeah, Leisha, much love to you. Thank you very much for watching. Natalie, step up and speak out. Yes, 100%, Natalie, and thank you for jumping on this broadcast and spending a little bit of your energy to be tolerant enough to be maybe able to actually listen to the full broadcast and all the broadcast. Hey, Miss Stevenson, much love. Thank you very much for jumping on the broadcast. I'm going to wait a little bit more for some people to jump on. Sometimes what usually happens is that I do a broadcast. I think that only 1 or 2 people are going to maybe watch it, and then suddenly I get a flood of people, and then halfway through the first, 5 minutes, suddenly all the people that jumped on in the beginning just run off and probably go look at, go back to work, or go look at, funny videos, whatever. Headley, much love, my brother. Thank you for taking your energy and watching this video, and thank you for your support in regards to watching my videos, all of you. None of you need to actually spend your time or energy to watch any of my broadcast, and a lot of you can either condemn it, act the victims when you hear particular types of subject matter that I talk about, or disregard me and everything that I say, and maybe even report it. Yeah, report it, because I know a lot of people, when they watch particular types of subject matter that I'm talking about, you end up reporting it. And the reason why you end up reporting it is because you want to act the victim for the rest of your life. you want to be subject to someone else's words, yeah, making you react in such a manner that you can't cope in your personal world. Okay? And I understand that yes, words can be effective and words can be dangerous, and words, words are like a two-edged sword. It's either you instantly accept the word or the words that another individual use to upset you, to cause friction, to cause mental, instability in you, or you reject those words. And they have terms in England, like, for instance, water off a duck's back. If someone says something, it's water off a duck's back. If you don't understand what that means because you're from a different country, by the way, it means that, a duck usually grooms itself, it cleans itself, and, as it's doing so, it releases a particular type of oil within its feathers and within its body, secretes that oil in order for it to be able to actually be, to a degree, waterproof. Yeah. And that is what some individuals, this is where the saying comes, where if someone says something to you, for me, it's just water off a duck's back. I like to use personally the terminology, apart from water off a duck's back, I like to use the terminology. It's like you say what you want, it's going to go over me. Do you see what I'm trying to say? It's up to you, the recipient. It's up to you, the individual, to actually accept what another individual is telling you or spitting at you, saying to you, whatever. I wouldn't suggest to spit, by the way, because that's against the law. But yeah, hey, Miss Joseph, how are you? Much love. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's like, you know what? A lot of people have suggested or stated that I'm very real. I'm very real. I'm not too sure why people feel the necessity to say to me, I'm real. Because that terminology never was around way back. Yeah? And it wasn't around way back when I was growing up, because there was no necessity to state to somebody that they're real, because we knew they were real, if that makes any sense. I know some of you that, have, thrown the baby out with the bathwater. In other words, thrown all your morals, all your standards, and how you grew up in regards to, using common sense, common understanding. I know all of a sudden it's like now you use particular terminology because you just jumped on the bandwagon of everybody else. Do you understand? What you've done is like, well, everybody else uses this terminology, so I now have to use this terminology to be understood. Yeah? Or, this terminology, it rings, it's got a nice ring to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, respect yourself before you wreck yourself. Do you understand? So I'm going to start using it. Do you see what I'm trying to say? But the reality of it is that, you know what? Terminology like, I like you because you're real doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. I can only be who I am, which is in this reality or in this realm or in this dimension, be real. I am real. You understand? I'm not fiction. You understand? I'm not, some people might call it doppy or ghost, etc. Yeah, I am real. I am a person, or rather not necessarily a person, because a person is a legal fiction, but if I want to associate myself to be a person, I am a living being. So, you see, language is very, what's the word? It can ignite a lot of useless, immature activity and arguments. Yeah. So it depends on what you use that fits for you. As long as you have chosen that for yourself and not going on the bandwagon of everybody else using that term or these terms, as long as you're able to decipher what words mean to you, then at the end of the day, it's up to you how you want to communicate using those particular words. But today, I want to actually speak to the British, because I find that since I've been living in this country and coming back and forth to this country as a so-called foreigner, yeah, Yeah, me and my parents were the ones that came to your country and took your jobs and took your women and took your men and all the rest of the shit. Yeah, which at the end of the day, we didn't actually take your men and women because my parents came over and they were already together. They were already married. They didn't co-inhabit with each other and pretend that they were still single. They had some morals and some standards in regarding, you know, life and not killing other people or attacking other people for no reason, etc., etc. But, you know, you don't see that about foreigners, do you? No, you just, most of you see, you know, and by the way, if I'm not necessarily talking about the individuals that are watching this video right now, okay? You people that are watching this video right now, most of you, I think, and I'm making an assumption, presumption here, most of you actually do use your common sense, do have you do have an understanding of life, yeah? And most of us, you can relate to me because most of your parents came as so-called foreigners to this country. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So you can associate maybe to what I'm saying. Naomi, peace, thank you for watching. Sonia, peace, and Robert Ochom, thank you for watching, my brother from residing in great so-called Hellgland, England rather, but you come all the way from Uganda. So thank you for watching, my brother. All right, I'm going to go into it. All right, today the reason why I'm doing this video is because, as usual, I get inspired by individuals, or I get inspired by you know, groups of people to actually think about their behavior, think about why they do things, and then feel that I can then, after their behavior, after their outburst, or after what they say, analyze and on a positive as well as a negative, critical, you know, angle, analyze why they possibly said or what they were going through at the time when they were interacting with me. Yeah. Otis, much love, my brother. Michelle, much love. Hope your daughter is getting better and stronger by the moment. Emil, much love, and thank you for watching this broadcast. The title of this video, by the way, I have to look at it and to remember, because I tend to sometimes talk so much that I can't remember even the bloody title of this video. But hey, please do get to know the character and the personality of who is speaking to you right now. Right, the title of this video is Stop Trying to Be Normal, right? And this specifically for people in Britain, okay? Norma Clark, peace and power, and thank you for watching. So, some of the reasons why some people try to pretend to be normal, okay? And let's start by my personal definition of what is normal, okay? In my world, with my understanding, overstanding, and understanding, there is no such word as, in regards to human beings, living beings of this dimension, there is no such thing as classing any of us as a mass group or as individuals as normal. There's nothing normal about humanity, okay? Yeah, we all want to, because of our religious belief, mainly, I've noticed, you know, you might differ. You might have some other forms of, you know, understanding about this, and that's fine. You know, Elaine, peace, and Miss Bodrick, much love. Thank you for watching this broadcast. Yeah, you might think that it's not just religion that separates an individual, or how they react, or their character, their personality, how they come over. You might think it's mental illness. Do you understand? Some form of psychological issue that they might have, or condition. You might think it's they're just basically paranoid. Do you understand? Or you might think because they've been hurt in the past, they behave in a particular type of way, and because of their lack of basically being able to interact with other people, yeah, and build up that understanding. What do you want? Is the phone off? Go and get it. Sorry, I'm dealing with family as always. Because of the lack of understanding that they have in being able to actually interact with a variety of different human beings, yeah, and also being able to engage, to be able to understand the character, the personality, their belief system, their what do you call it, their culture, their traditions. Yeah, you see, when you talk to another human being, you understand. Much love, my brother. When you talk to another human being, you have to take in consideration that you're not just talking to somebody that it thinks the same way as you, acts the same way as you, and behaves the same way as you. You took it out of the charger, didn't you? Put it back in the charger. Yeah, when you're dealing with another human being, you have to take in consideration. It's not like dealing with an inanimate object. You see, this is a cup. Let me give you a real basic understanding. This is a cup, okay? You see, I don't talk to cups because I'm fully compos mentis. In other words, I'm not, deluded in such a circumstance that I, think that a cup is real, okay? But I will talk to a human being. But there's a big difference between a cup, which is an inanimate object, and a human being. And the difference is that a cup doesn't have a brain, doesn't have a mouth, doesn't have, an immune system, doesn't have a skeleton structure, doesn't have a life. It just is made by a human being to just serve purpose. And although we human beings should also be growing into the stature or being able to actually have a purpose as well, what I'm finding more and more so, especially in this pandemic, is that a lot of people are coming over now, and because of the pressures of their personal life and because of the lack of understanding of how to deal with another human being, they are using excuses to make either themselves or class themselves as victims, or class themselves as, being, dealing with people that are anti-religious. Do you understand what I'm saying? So in other words, justifying what they believe in is much more important than actually interacting with a human being and trying to understand another human being. Hey, Josie. Hey, Jan and Monique. Much love. And Leslie. So today I want for you British specifically, to break down something, because it looks like something very, very insidious is happening. Obviously, we all know that New World Order is upon us already. If you don't really know that New World Order was upon us way back actually in the 60s, 70s, majorly, do you understand? Then obviously, you've lost it. Now, unfortunately, because I use that terminology, a lot of you might think, oh, here we go, another conspiracy nutcase. No. I just used the term. That's all I used, yeah? And the reason why I'm using that term is because if you actually look at the legislation that is enforced upon humanity right now, worldwide, especially predominant in the policing, yeah? In the policing of how the police worldwide is policing human beings, yeah? You will start to recognize there's a pattern. You see, life is full of patterns, yeah? But unless you actually interact with other human beings, unless you actually interact with the bodies that those human beings are working for or serving, you won't see those patterns, yeah? So in other words, what am I saying? Most of you are segregated. Most of you are living in your little world, in your little cliches, having your little friends and your little acquaintances of certain amounts of individuals that you think actually have a very broad spectrum of how other people live, have a very broad spectrum of how other people's culture and customs and traditions operate. And the reality of it is that time and time again, I have more than been able to prove my point to a lot of individuals in this country. Yeah? Hey, Lisa and Paul, much love. Thank you for watching, my brother. How have I been able to prove this? People have asked me to join their group, and what I do when I join a group, or what I do when I accept an invitation of any sort, is I examine the behavior of all members of the group. I analyze, the attitudes, the characters, the personalities of all members of the group. But most of all, my emphasis is examining and looking at specifically the individuals that created the groups, the organization, the corporation, or whatever it is. Because I want to know How are you, the head of that group, the controller, the manager, the CEO, whatever you want to call that individual? How are you, the foreman, the steward of that group? How are you going to behave? And what is your agenda? What is your real purpose of creating a group, an organization, or corporation? Do you understand? Thompson, Miss Thompson, peace. Thank you very, very much for watching. Angela, hi. Sister Nathan, much love. I love you lots. Hope you're having a better day today. John, hey, how are you? Sorry, I just like to give a shout out to people all the time. Can you go and do something else? So, where was I now? Yes, this is where I was. I like to do a variety of different things with people that especially create groups or create organizations or corporations or whatever it might be that they created. It could be just a basic group, a basic chat group on a social media platform. But I want to examine and analyze, what do you believe in? Because you see, a lot of people think that it's very easy now to create a group. They invite me because they think, or they have a passion that they think that is going to work really smoothly, and they're never going to get criticism, they're never going to get problems, they're never going to get individuals trying to crash the group and try to, cause friction within the group, basically. Do you see what I'm trying to say? But that we all know that's not how it goes, right? We all know how social media operates by now, yeah? But one thing I want to make it very clear is that if a lot of us, we've been dumbed down into presuming that social media is for everybody. Yeah. And the reality of it is, to you British, I'm telling you straight up, 100%, social media is not actually for everybody. Okay. You've really got to take in consideration before you jump on a social media platform. Just because your friends are on that platform, it doesn't mean, or your family even, which is usually the scenario. Amaya, get down. One thing I want to express is, just because your family is on social media, just because your friends are on social media, that doesn't necessarily mean that all of a sudden that's given you the door to be able to open and jump in there as well. Yeah? Social media is not for everybody, okay? If you're on social media and you always like to play the victim, that's number one, okay? If you're an individual that always likes to play the victim, you should not be on social media. And I'll tell you why. Because there's going to be a flood, a tsunami of a variety of different types of individuals. And I know in the tone of my voice already we have someone thinking that I'm angry, and I'm not angry at all. Because you can see with your own eyes, I'm trying to talk. And this type of talk is called expression. See, in my days when I was growing up, which I might sound like some old fart right now, especially with these glasses. In my days when I was growing up, it's like, when you had a passion to be able to express yourself about something, it was just that. It wasn't anything else. It wasn't, let's pretend to be psychologists and read this person and assume and presume that we know this individual inside out. No. None of us pretended to play the psychologist. None of us pretended to play professional doctors in regards to certain areas of especially mental health. Okay? No, what we would tend to do is just look at the individual and just listen and hear, and then also associate the character and the personality of that individual in what they were saying. And usually what we would do is say, this brother is really passionate, or this sister is really passionate, or the subject matter that this brother and sister is saying is really interesting. Because we would spend more energy listening to the subject matter rather than judging the individual trying to express themselves. But because we're living in such a generation where it's all about the strong are pretending to be weak and the weak are pretending to be strong, then that is a messed up generation, basically. Yeah? Akia Peace, people who create groups should be passionate about the subject, but should also welcome other people's opinions. 100%. And one thing that I found is that when you do have a different opinion, a different view, of whatever subject matter that the group tends to be about, all of a sudden there's, their back gets up. Before you know it, they're like, attacking you, projecting and, doing all type of things against you. And even trying to ridicule you as well. I mean, I'm an individual that you could try to ridicule me all you want. You could try to belittle me all you want. You could even attack me and try to even prosecute me, which has happened before, would you believe, on Facebook, on Snapchat, on all these other social media platforms. And time again, when it actually goes to court and the submission of evidence, facts and proof is examined, these individuals have nothing to stand on. Because these individuals are what I really call weak individuals. And I'm not talking about W-E-E-K. I'm talking about W-E-A-K. You see, for some reason in 2020, 2020, a lot of us don't like the word weak no more. We don't even like certain types of words, and we're trying to, as it looks like for me, I don't know about you, try to even change the interpretation of certain words now. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Now, the longer you do that as a collective, not just as individuals, because it's the individuals that are trying to change the interpretations and the definitions. But if the collective doesn't actually understand what's going on and allows these individuals, these few individuals, to actually manipulate the system of the definition of a word and what that word usually means, I'm not suggesting for 1 second you can't do that as an individual, but I am saying one thing, and I'm going to state this very clearly. That if you're going to change the definition of something, then you best have enough evidence, facts and proof why you are changing that and why it should be submitted even before the changing of the definition happens. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Yvette, peace and power to you. Charles, much love, my Brooklyn brother. Angela Brown, love. But anyway, going back to what I was saying before, you see, some of these individuals, you have a particular religious belief system, and I understand that and I appreciate that. And I don't really appreciate it, because most of the time, a lot of religious people actually use their religion to attack you, use their religion to defend their position and their voices and their points of view and all the rest of it, when at the end of the day, you don't need to use your religion. What you need to do is understand how to build a relationship with another individual human being. Because if you was in an accident, if you got stabbed or something happened to you, guess what? Religious or not religious, you can die. Religious or not religious, blood is inside you just like it's inside me. But you've stripped your mind into thinking that your religious point is so important and is such an importance to the rest of the world that you not only have the right to exercise your religious belief, but you also seem to take a stand on your religion and think that you are, and your view is the only view. And you're passionate about that because you feel that your invisible saviors and your invisible gods are the ones that are the overall dictators of how humanity should live. And I use this word dictators because if you really examine religious people, and you really examine when they get upset, when they get angry, when they start projecting especially, they usually always end up using or hiding behind their so-called invisible saviors, their invisible religious beliefs. Do you understand? Now, obviously religion either is invisible because you don't push it out, and you're not Bible thumping or Quran thumping other people or any other type of book, you understand? Or you remain one of these fanatics that basically lets the whole world know that you are a religious fanatic, you understand? But usually for me, religion is something that is a personal issue, that if you want to believe in whatever you want to believe, you could believe that your savior is a banana peel. Listen, if your savior is a banana peel, then that's got nothing to do with me. That's got to do something with you. You have to take responsibility for that, not me. But the thing is, it's like, if you do come to me and you believe that your savior or your, invisible deity is a banana peel, then I'm within my rights to actually not want to be your friend. I'm within my rights to make sure that, I don't want to associate myself with you because I might think that you have some form of psychological, illness or condition. Yeah, I'm within my rights to do that. But you see, this word rights is becoming used and abused to such a degree that it's becoming like a dishcloth now. You see, you could have a nice dishcloth, and I'm using obviously another example that I like using because I like talking in parables sometimes. You could have a dishcloth, and in the beginning that dishcloth was wonderful, was nice, was clean, you know, you used it for the right purposes, this, that, and the other. Then some bastard comes along, yeah? It could be, say, a dishcloth for the kitchen, okay? And then some bastard comes along, usually a male, because this is the reason why the whole world is fucked up right away, because males, you know, don't do a very good job, do they? And I'm not suggesting that females would do a better job, but I'm thinking that we wouldn't be half in the shit that we are now if we didn't allow females in. Do you understand? Going back to my example, it could be a dishcloth that was used just for the kitchen, and then suddenly, say, you know, a brother comes in, it could be any member of your household, could be even someone that just come in to do a job on your sink, yeah? Plumber comes into your house, takes the fucking dishcloth that's for the kitchen, and then all of a sudden uses it to wipe his ass or clean the tools or whatever it might be, you know, whatever. And then suddenly places that kitchen dishcloth back in the kitchen. Okay? Now, the first thing that you're going to do is you're not going to pretend not to fucking notice, right? And by the way, it's like, you know what? Expletives, you know what I'm saying, swear words or slang language or whatever you want to call it is used in the dictionary. If you don't like it, then change the fucking dictionary. So, as I was saying before, you're gonna fucking notice that dishcloth is all dirty, nasty, this, that, and the other, and you're gonna start to do one major thing, and that is, bing, think. You're gonna think, yeah? Because this is what all human beings have the capacity and capability to do. You're going to think. The first thought you're going to think is, I left this clean in the kitchen, and all of a sudden some bitch, if that's how you think, or some individual, if you want to be all holy, prim and proper, okay? You're going to think some person, individual, some bitch, whatever you want to use, whatever term you use, because there's a variety of different type of things that people think. See, I'm talking on how everybody might think, not just how one person might think, myself. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Yeah, I personally would think, you know, personally speaking, which bitch fucking did this? Do you understand? Yeah, but that's because of my roots, how I've been raised, where I come from, and how I want to think for myself. Yeah? If you don't like to use these terms and you don't like swearing and all the rest of it, like I said, please go to the dictionaries and tell them and suggest to them that they must change all the expletives in their dictionary and make sure that, you know, they refine the dictionary to suit you. Do you understand? So you cannot play the victim on a regular basis. Going back to what I was saying, the first thing I would think is, what bastard did this? The second thing I would think then is, I either react to it or don't react to it. Okay? So in other words, I would say, right, stop, everybody stop. Can anyone let me know who the hell did this to my dishcloth? Because this dishcloth was specifically for the kitchen, and it was just for the kitchen, nothing else. I didn't expect someone to wipe their ass with it or clean their car or whatever with it and then place it back. Yeah? But this is exactly what you are doing, Great Britain. Yeah? I don't see you as great. You never were great unless you include, or your attitude is to include, enslavement of people and the brutality against every people around the world. Yeah, as great, I don't see Great Britain as great, okay? But I'm just using it for now because this is where we reside, and this is what the corporation calls itself, Great Britain, okay? But great British people, this is how I'm seeing you. At some point, you had manners. At some point, you had, you know, a common knowledge of being able to communicate with people on a common level. Okay, and now all of a sudden, your dishcloth has been taken by individuals within the communities and societies that we live in. Yeah, and used how in whatever purpose they are using it as, rather than a collective community of individuals. Yeah? Whether we like it or not, it's always going to be the majority against the minority. Okay? This is a fact. I have to deal with this on a regular basis every single day of my fucking life. in this fucked up planet, or rather in this corporation that I'm living in right now. Because would you believe, if you was to actually expand your mind just a little bit, there are individuals living away from any other form of European westernized enforcement legislation right now. Yeah. How do I know this? Because, nature products. Natural history channels show us. You understand that there's people still living the natural ways that they've been living and their ancestors were living up to today in certain places like the Amazon jungle, like Africa, like India, like lots of other different places. We all assume and presume that everybody's living like a European, everybody's living like a Westerner. Yeah. But the reality of it is, no, there are certain individuals that are not. In fact, you try to befriend them, and because they have heard that, we seem to have very savage type of attitudes, they will fucking try to kill us. And I don't blame them. Yeah? There was a priest not so long ago, last year or 2 years ago, no, I think it was last year, that tried to come with his Jesus message, his religion, to some so-called, independent, so-called lost tribe, as many people like to, class them as, that had no interaction with the outside world. And he tried to go there to try and obviously preach his bloody Jesus, yeah? And what happened? I think he nearly died. They put an arrow in his ass. Do you understand what I'm saying? And for me, I tell you the truth, congratulations for that particular people to stand up against the tyranny of all these fucking people with their stupidity that enforces people to behave in a particular type of fashion and way. Yeah? Congratulations to those people. Yeah? But let me say this. Sorry. I nearly finished the video early. Dwayne Ruff, peace, my brother. All my brothers, right away, watching this video, I appreciate you to the max, my kings. I bow to you. Not in a bowing as if like I need to, worship you, but actually that's what we should be doing. In the ancient days, we used to bow to one another. The only people that do that on this fucking planet right now, guess who? The very same ones that we're condemning for having this fucking pandemic right now. Yeah? The Chinese, the Orientals, and even some of the Indians, etc., they bow. I've noticed when they greet one another, they bow to one another. It's a shame that brothers and sisters don't do that no more. But that's because the disrespect, and that's because of all the shit, suppression and oppression that's happened to us over the fucking centuries. Suddenly we don't really have that much respect for one another. But I bow to you, my brothers. You understand? Kings. But going back to what I was saying now, before I start, going off on a tangent and, what's the word? Anyway, let me just go back to where I was, right? The title of this video is Stop Trying to Be Normal, okay? Now, some of us, we have religious, I've got my notes here, yeah? Rather than ranting and raving and going off topic all the time, it's like I got my notes this time. Some of us, we have religious saviors, invisible deities that we believe in and we follow, and we can't seem to wipe our own ass, right? Unless, a deity or our religious invisible savior does it for us, okay? And this is my words. I'm using my words, and maybe to some of you, my words might be insulting. My words might be very negative, and my words might be lots of other things. Do you understand? But the thing is like one thing that as I said to you before, using the example of the dirty, kitchen cloth. You can take what I'm saying and you can twist it out of shape if you want to. But rather than twist it out of shape, you see, one thing that I'm going to say to you is that everybody has the right to be able to express themselves how they should be able to express themselves, not how you want them to express themselves. Yeah? And this is an issue that's happening on a regular basis. In fact, if you don't mind me using you, my brother, Wadada, I remember going to a meeting where one of the greats was talking, yeah, talking about, the African diaspora, the Omlek, etc. If you don't know who the Omlek are, by the way, please do your homework, because they were, if it wasn't because of the Omlek, you wouldn't, in the Amazon, you wouldn't have Amazonian culture, Mayan culture, you wouldn't have Aztec culture, you wouldn't have anything, okay? It was the Omlek that was teaching us. We definitely co-inhabited with the American Indian and the Amazonian and the Mayan, etc. But it was the Omlek that was sacred to us in teaching us particular types of things. So do your homework, okay? Caroline, peace. By the way, Caroline, today's topic is stop trying to be normal, okay? So anyway, I remember being at this meeting, and you know what? I remember there was a sister that she was very, very bubbly, and yes, this sister does happen to know, for a fact, happen to know that she does suffer from psychological issues or has a particular condition. And, she was really very, very, loud. She wasn't loud negative. She was loud positive as far as I was concerned. And, a lot of brothers and sisters was, maybe a little bit alarmed. But you know what? I remember someone said something, and then I was talking to Wadada, and then suddenly he said, it's like, I swore. I said a swear word. Do you understand? In the presence of the almighty, conscious community. I said a swear word, and he looked at me. He stepped back, and then he said to me, it's like, and I honestly thought he was going to actually try to school me, yeah, because, a lot of people in Great Britain love to school you, you understand? And he said, so what? He agreed with, just because I use a derogatory swear word, or what is classed as derogatory, in my form or line of expression, that at the end of the day, it's like, you know what? It's like, so what? Do you see what I'm trying to say? So for me, that was instant brotherhood there and then, right? That made my relationship or getting to know Wadada in that moment a much more effective and more stronger connection. Do you understand? Yeah? But a lot of you think that it's just the color of someone's skin that should actually bound you together. No. We all have seen recently of the fucking pedophile that they caught in Mitcham, yeah? Sorry, but he was a brother, okay? Now, when I say brother, I'm talking about B-O-T-H-E-R, not talking about B-R-U-T-H-A, okay? So it was our own, yeah, so-called people within our own community that actually was the enemy as such. Do you see what I'm trying to say? But you see, when I step to a brother or a sister, and I'm talking about B-R-U-T-H-A, yeah, brother, soul sister, yeah, when I step to a soul sister, I step to them not because of their stupid color. And when I say stupid, I'm talking about some of us, we tend to have this stupid mentality that just because of the person's complexion, that is enough to join us and bound us. Now, I understand, yes, we are joined and bound to a certain degree, but then I'm sure you've heard of the term coconut, right? Maybe not? Okay, a coconut, just in case you've never, you've been hiding under a rock in Great Britain. A coconut is a person that basically has a white universal look on the inside of them, but their skin complexion or their features are, let's say, I'm trying to play. You see, right now I'm trying to play with words right now in my head, because in Britain, as well as in America and other places, New Zealand, Australia, and all these other places, what are we doing playing with the British language when the British language is actually the most bastardized language in the whole planet? We seem to be using words and rephrasing definitions and all the rest of it, when at the end of the day, what we shouldn't be concentrating on is relating to one another, right? Even if I use the word negroid, yeah? Even if I use the word negro, even if I use the word black, even if I use the word whatever, it's like, that doesn't just, this is not about, just using words to be able to relate to one another. Do you understand what I'm saying? I understand that when I was growing up in New York, America, hey, my black brother, hey, my black sister, hey, this, that, hey, hey, soul sister, and all these other, even the terminology I just use, soul brother, soul sister, is usually not used in predominantly white community or Caucasian community. I understand all that shit. Yeah, I wasn't born yesterday. No one needs to define or explain to me shit. I understand that. Rose Williams, Althea, peace. Yeah, Nubian, that's another word. You understand? It's like, but the thing is, it's like, look, what I'm trying to explain and break down here, you can use any word to define your or our people, okay? Nubian, Aztec, Mayan, Amazonian, Omlek, Niger, Nigerian, Ethiopian, Al-Kabalan, a million other words, yeah? Kemite, whatever the hell you use, yeah? If you don't spend time learning the character and personality of that individual, how do you know them? Let me give you an example. If you're talking to a brother or a sister, right, and they happen to be actually a pedophile, do you recognize that the mindset of most pedophiles, not all, but most, is to try to engage in a conversation with somebody that is of the same ethnical background, yeah, and try to gain trust out of that individual, yeah? So you could be talking to a pedophile, but just because he happens to be the same, skin color, yeah, all of a sudden you're going to just engage with that individual and suddenly start building a trust with that person until one day he or she gets to meet your family, yeah? Hello? That's not enough. In my world, that's not enough, okay? It's not enough. I grew up in a generation, way back in the 50s, 60s, right? I grew up in a generation where we assumed and presumed, right, that our mothers and fathers were correct 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, okay? All the time. In fact, we didn't have a voice. I hear some, especially Caribbean people say, oh yeah, when I grew up, it's like, I just would be told what to do and, we weren't heard, we were just seen sometimes. Yeah. Well, guess what? I grew up in a generation where we weren't heard and we weren't seen either. Yeah. So this is the reason why possibly that type of generation a lot of us either committed suicide or a lot of us actually have gone from strength to strength and maybe developed a character and personality that no one else probably has today. In other words, every generation is different. 1 second, I'm just doing something. Keep it on the charger, alright? Keep it on the charger. Do you understand me? Okay, good. So, where was I now? Okay, we are the only people that have been called different names throughout the years. Negro, colored, black, true. Akia, true. But I tell you something, there's lots of other people that you can look at, not in comparison, because I tell you one thing, that the black man and woman, and I'm just using that term very loosely, has been the most attacked, the most desecrated, the most disrespected, and the most, as we all know it, brutalized in the whole of the world's, history. Do you understand? Hey, Debbie. But like I was saying before, yeah, using the example of the dirty dishcloth, you understand? If a dishcloth is for the kitchen, it should stay in the kitchen and for the kitchen. But unfortunately, in society now, I'm using that as a parallel to what I'm trying to express and explain. As a parallel, what's happened is that individuals within society, individuals within community have decided to band together and now take what common language we have and what common characters, personalities, what common traits society should have, and have used it for their benefit, used it for their agenda, used it for their acknowledgement, for their opinions to be heard more than everybody else's. So basically what's happened is that the majority of people that usually had the grasp, you could say, or the total domination of what something meant, suddenly they've lost control of that. But then in the process of losing control of that, which wasn't the big issue at that point, the process of losing control of that became even more inflamed, because all of a sudden that started to create too much friction. And then guess who stepped in? The government. Particular types of bodies stepped in, councils, boroughs, whatever you want to call it, the mayor, whoever the hell it was. Yeah, people basically that served the communities. Yeah. Although some of them also lived within the community, they also served the community. But in other words, people that were working for corporations decided to step in and suddenly control what particular definitions meant, and look at the minority within the society and actually give them the power over the majority. Now, at the end of the day, it doesn't work like that. In the real world, I tell you, it doesn't work like that. In the real world, when you go in, like if you was to be in a meeting right now, and there was a separation between weak people in that meeting and strong people, that I'm talking about, they're just strong. You understand? Yeah. Their whole life experience, their whole life journey has led them just to be very strong individuals. Not saying that they can't also be weak at some point, or something might happen that, you can see a weakness form in them. No, I'm talking about just as an example. I could hold a meeting where I could invite a certain amount of weak people and a certain amount of strong people. Weak meaning, very, very hypersensitive, people that basically have always have become very paranoid, unfortunately, because of the way other people have treated them, etc., etc., and basically unstable people. Okay, that is my definition of what I call weak. Okay. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's the only definition, because out of the weakness of some individuals, like the weakness of a child, can actually teach us adults, especially, how actually we need to be more sensitive, how actually we need to be more caring, how actually we need to be more, you understand, on the lookout for the younger ones. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So sometimes weakness has a way of actually teaching us lessons, but then so does strength. But for some reason, now, no one wants to look at the strong. Yeah? It's like the strong have to pretend to be weak just so that the weak can pretend to be strong. But in my generation, that never was happening. Yeah? There was a person that was second or third or fourth or fifth in a race at school. Yeah? Not everybody won the fucking race all one time. Yeah? Not everybody was the winner. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah? There was some losers, as it were. Yeah? But, again, it depends on how you view the definition. You see, the thing is, you could be a loser at, something that could be a sporting event. But that doesn't necessarily mean, you understand, and time, so many different type of individuals have proved this beyond a doubt. Losers could be a loser, you understand, in the beginning, right? Like, for instance, in business is a perfect example. I know individuals in business that they tried to go into business and they didn't succeed the first time, the second time, the third. There are individuals that I know personally that tried to float their business, to create their business, and about 200 times one individual tried the same thing. But when he came to me, I obviously, told him not to try the same bloody thing 200 different type of ways, the same way. I gave him a different strategy, a different angle to try it, and it worked, right? So sometimes what I'm trying to say is, with great British people, okay, instead of judging one another, condemning one another, and always playing the victim and always playing the weak one, yeah, and then attacking others because of your so-called weakness, how about you actually looking at the strategical way you're living your life journey? In other words, adding strategies, adding particular plans, adding particular goals, adding particular methods, adding particular techniques on how you live your life. Not just looking at how other people live your life. You see, it's very easy to jump on a video that's very positive or has a positive message in it and trying to bloody imitate that. The problem is that is just a video of maybe someone else's life, but it's not your personal life. You have to assess your personality, your character, your ways, your understanding, and not go with the flow of everybody else's doing the way they're doing their life. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Yeah? It looks like hypocrisy basically is king now. Do you understand what I'm saying? You know, I've seen certain individuals within the so-called world of Hollywood as well as the music industry. 1 minute they're living their life and they're telling everybody screw you and fuck you and all the rest of that. And then all of a sudden they end up maybe having a baby, or they end up maybe a family member gets ill or something happens. And then suddenly, all of a sudden, the meekness comes out, or the love comes out, or the understanding is all of a sudden, you know, coming out more in that individual. Suddenly they do start to recognize that maybe what I was saying was a bit raw to the core. Maybe what I was doing was actually, classed as hypocrisy now that I have a child, and before I was young and single and just telling mothers that they're hoes and this, that, and the other. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah? So it's up to us to define, you know, our own way of living our lives. But it shouldn't be up to us to start judging other people and projecting and mirroring negativity from other people. And that's what a lot of you are doing. In great so-called Britain, I'm finding a lot of you are just mirroring one another. So if I condemn you and I judge you and I got harsh words for you, you're also doing the same fucking fuckery. Yeah? You know? Debbie, morning love. I'm just turning in what's other the topic today is stop trying to be normal. Know what I got in knowledge. You got you. Thabo, peace. Thank you for watching. So anyway, I'm going to go on. Sorry, let me keep to my list now, right? Let me be on point and keep to my list, right? You know, some of you got religious saviors and religious deities. I want to address you religious people, okay? Once and for all, yeah? And and if you have any issue with me after this video, I'm going to probably throw this video to you.
Daddy, the unicorn's like 0 health.
Okay. Very good. Keep it in charge, yeah? There's my daughter playing unicorn, the most fantasy world in the whole thing. But I'm going to quickly, as soon as I finish this video, put her on something that's not a fantasy, and she's going to come back to reality. Not that I don't allow any of my family members or any other person to, you know, fantasy is all well and good. Like going to the movies and watching some fantasy on the screen, nothing wrong with that. You understand? Yeah, nothing wrong with that whatsoever. It gives you the chance to be able to just clear your mind from all the clutter of, you know, living a life of being, you know, of dictatorship and being enforced. Do you understand? You know, but the thing is, if you can't just be living on fantasy for the rest of your life. Going back to what I was saying about religious people, this one is for you. If you believe in the invisible deities and you believe in all these other stories that have no evidence, facts, and proof, and also for some reason we still up to today seem to not be able to uncover their burial grounds or their bones, and yet we can find dinosaur bones millions of years old. Yeah, this one is definitely for you. Human beings cannot measure up to your Jesus or your Allah or your Muhammad or your any other type of you know, holy person that you follow or you worship. Human beings cannot reach up to that standard, okay? Right? Human beings, yeah, in fact, are just that. They're human beings. Or let's say they're living beings of this dimension, okay? And when you're a living being of this dimension, it doesn't mean that you have to actually measure up to the saviors, whether they be invisible or not, and the deities that you follow. Yeah? Are you getting me, religious people? Yeah? Now, I'm not, if you notice, I never said anything negative about your belief system, your, you know, books, your so-called holy books that you feel have all the answers to every single thing in life, and you just want to follow that. I'm not condemning that. Yeah? I'm not judging you for doing that. I'm saying that, you see, a living being like myself, we don't have to measure up to your invisible saviors or your invisible deities or your invisible enforcement of rules and regulations, yeah, rules and regulations that you have written in your so-called holy books. We don't have to measure up to that. Okay? Yeah? You're the ones that think that we have to measure up to that. You're the ones that think that we have to follow your policies, rules, and regulations from your books. Okay? From how you have been indoctrinated, how you have been brainwashed, how you have been. And by the way, all of what I'm saying is not negative. Yeah? Nothing of what I'm saying. Being brainwashed can happen in any area of your life. I could be brainwashed to think that, reggae is the only music that everybody and anyone must listen to. And all the other music is rubbish. Okay? I could be brainwashing to thinking that artificial intelligence, if you don't believe in artificial intelligence and you think about artificial intelligence as demonic and evil and this, that, and the other, but I think artificial intelligence is the best thing ever because it runs my business smoothly and it makes my life much easier when it comes to especially business and other things. I have the right to think that. I have that right. Okay? Akia, that's when the judgment comes into play, when you don't follow their religious ways. 100%. And I'm thank you for your comment, and thank you for actually Wadada. I see your comment too. Maxine, peace. By the way, you can share your comments. You can share your views while I'm talking. It's not rude. It's not ignorant. Yeah, it's interjecting, okay? But as long as it's on the same kind of subject. I mean, if you're, if your view is like 10 miles long, okay, then I'm not going to be able to read that, and probably no one else is going to be able to read that, and you're going to distract other people from what I'm actually, the message, okay? Notice I said you're going to distract other people from the message, okay? Because the most important thing about my videos and my broadcasts, and not me, I'm not the important thing here. Okay, it's the message that is the important thing. And this is the reason why no one can shut me down, because you can't shut down a message. You can shut down the messenger, but you can't shut down the message. Do you understand what I'm saying? Kerry, much love. I love you always. So that's for you religious people. Okay, if in your religion you think that it works for you, great, and it's the only thing that you measure yourself up to, and it's the only thing your saviors and your deities, and you think that without your deities, your saviors, your policies, your rules and regulations, books, yeah, if you think that that is the only way you can live by, okay, and you measure yourself according to your all that, okay, then that is for you. That's not for me. Okay, that's not for the next man, the next woman, or that's not for children, or which unfortunately a lot of religions prey on. You prey on children because they're gullible and they're not fully compos mentis. They haven't reached the stage of conscious awareness to be able to make a decision to actually not follow you. Yeah? And your belief systems, your deities, and your invisible saviors. Debbie, you said, but a Christian would tell you the Bible tells them to go into all the world and preach the gospel for love, I am with you always. So they feel obligated to project their belief onto you. I understand that scripture, and I think because I don't follow any religion that has invisible saviors and deities. Although, yeah. Some might argue, well, you say you don't follow no invisible deities or individuals, but you said that you say, J. Ricky, on a regular basis that you follow the ancestors. Or no, I don't follow the ancestors. I am guided by the ancestors. You follow your religious deities. Yeah, you follow your invisible saviors. I don't follow anyone. Yeah. If I follow somebody, that means my life I have to put on hold there, and I just have to follow someone else and do what they do. Yeah? And that's what religious people do. Religious people look at the life of their deity or their religious invisible savior, and they only examine that individual. and they forget that they have a fucking life over here, okay? They have their own life over here that they need to actually get on with, yeah? That they were given life, okay? To work in this dimension, yeah? To proceed, yeah? In this dimension, to evolve, yeah? Into their purpose, their mission, and their function, yeah? So they just leave that there, and only when it comes to certain things like, you know, being accused of something and paying the rent and eating to be able to survive and wearing clothes and all these other type of, you know, things that are natural human rights, yeah? That's the only time that they pick themselves up. They take responsibility, you understand? Because obviously none of them want to go around walking naked, okay? Or walking with very, very little clothes that actually their so-called invisible deities and saviors actually used to do, yeah? They used to have very little clothes, you understand? Or not westernized clothing as we know now. But they're going to tell you, well, with modern times and modern days, things are different now. There you go. Wadada, you said it better than me, yeah? But, you know, whether or not these deities or these books don't exist, yeah? And they're just, you know, made up as they are, you know, irrespective of all that, irrespective of your deities, irrespective of your rules and your regulations from your holy so-called books, etc., please understand this, religious person, or person that believes in a deity, an invisible deity or creator. You know, we don't measure up to your standards, yeah? So every time you look at us as if we're a piece of shit, or every time you look at us in a way where you want to slightly even condemn us, judge us, you know, be against us in any shape, way or form, even though you are apparently very loving, but yet at the same time your creator, your invisible creators or saviors seem to have, you know, massive amounts of documentation in your so-called books that actually end up destroying humanity rather than actually making, you know, humanity better, yeah? Please understand that we don't measure up to your so-called creators. We don't measure up to your so-called saviors. We don't measure up to your so-called perfect book, okay? With all the answers in it, okay? So that's for religion. Now, to people that suffer from mental health issues, yeah, or what I prefer to term psychological conditions as well as physical conditions and illnesses, yeah. Sometimes you tend to measure up to this word normal, okay? And this is why I named this video, Stop Trying to Be Normal, okay? See, I remember when I was going through my depressive state, okay? One of the reasons why I became more depressed, okay, was because I always felt that I had to reach this invisible societal, yeah, standard of what the word normal was. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So the rest of society basically has drawn up, and even in the legal arena, you know, when you go to court and you react in a particular type of way in the community, which doesn't seem to be so-called normal, yeah, the police will stop you because they feel that, you know, you are suspicious. There's some form of suspicion, and usually the suspicion is on how you are not behaving in a normal, standard way, okay? Okay? You know, so the thing is, society itself and humanity itself has drawn up what they perceive as what is supposedly normal, okay? Now, this is this one now is not a message for you religious people, although maybe some of you religious people are also suffering from psychological issues and conditions. So this might still apply to you as well. But also, this is now specifically for people that suffer from psychological conditions and mental issues and even physical as well. You know, you keep trying to behave in a particular type of way that as you maybe might want to play the victim, or you don't want others to see you in the light of having a disability or having a condition, a psychological condition of any sort. So you try to play to this word normal. Do you understand? Yeah? Now, in your subconscious, this is happening. Maybe not in your direct consciousness, you understand? The conscious level that you can operate or control to a degree. Maybe in your subconscious, you're always struggling or always conflicted with, I don't act normal. People are going to see how I react to certain things sometimes. My psychological illnesses or conditions are going to flare up one day in particular circumstances and particular areas of interaction with human beings. You understand? So suddenly, boom, that's when they're going to recognize that there's something not normal about me. Do you see what I'm trying to say? And some of you, the reason why you think this way is because, as I said, you're measuring yourself up to what society as a whole has made you have to measure up to. All right? Now, I'm not suggesting that there should be no morals and no standards. Do you understand? But you know what? Don't be measuring your morals and standards of maybe what you're suffering from psychologically or physically to this word normal, okay? Yeah? Because just like religious people have to measure up always with their so-called saviors and their so-called invisible deities and their, books that have all the answers to everything in the world, according to their rules and regulations. Just how they have to measure up to that. You are not necessarily. You don't have a book that you have to measure up to. You don't have a invisible savior or creator that you have to measure up to, but instead what you have is created this word normal and this idea normal, or what normal should be about, according to societal understanding, according to what society deems normal. Yeah. So now you have this word normal over you on a constant basis as you're suffering from some form of psychological illness, condition, distress, or whatever it might be, as well as physical. You always are under this normal. Society says this is normal. This is normal behavior, normal ways to be, normal character should be this way, blah, blah, blah. And you're always trying to measure up to that, always measuring up to that. Yeah? But when you take away that type of thought, when you take away the suppressive and oppressive attitude of you having to think that just because society says that you have to behave in a so-called normal way, when you take away that, do you notice that you're free? Yeah? You notice that you're free to express yourself how you want to express yourself. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you should have no standards and no morals and nothing there. You can't just take away something that you were measuring up to for years since you were maybe born and indoctrinated to behave a particular type of way that was there all the time. You can't just take that away and then have nothing, okay? Because this is not how human development and evolution can progress. Human evolution, or living beings of this celestial world that we live in, you understand, an intercelestial world, a multidimensional world that we live in, we have to have particular standards, you understand? It's a bit like, I am, of a particular age. And now I'm of a particular age, I can actually reflect to look back at all of the stuff that I've gone through, and it helps me to mature, to understand where my level of maturity is. And it helps me to understand, have I become more moralistically aware? Do I have standards now that can help me to actually understand other people better? And their circumstances and their situations and scenarios better. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Yeah? So you can't just pretend that this word normal doesn't exist no more and I'm just going to be me. Yeah? Because that won't help you. Especially if you are suffering from some form of psychological condition or issue or sickness. Or even physical, do you understand? Disability or whatever it might be, do you understand? And it affects you mentally, do you understand? Because whether you like it or not, if you have a physical disability, at some point it will affect your mental as well. Yeah? But again, some of you, are living a life of, it's never going to happen to me because I don't accept that. But that's just like me, again, using the reference of the dirty dishcloth that was actually meant for only the kitchen, suddenly being used to clean someone's, motor vehicle engine. Okay? You know, everything has its place. Everything has its moment. Everything has its, category and subcategory, you could say. Do you understand? Everything has to be put in a place where basically all things can help you understand how you run as an individual. Yeah? If you don't do that, then you're forever looking at how other people are going to dictate to you what you must do with your life. You're always going to look at, as I said, in the case of religion, you're always going to measure yourself up to the invisible deities, the invisible saviors, and the book of rules and regulations that you must always do. Because if you don't do it, if you take away the book of rules and regulations, if you take away the invisible deity, the invisible savior, then all of a sudden, what do you have? You see, you all of a sudden have this void. You have nothing. So can you work with nothing? Not really, until you actually place something in there. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Jade Black's piece. So, the reason why I'm saying this, by the way, is because social media is not for everybody, okay? There are individuals that you are suffering from some form of psychological or physical distress, condition, illness, issue, whatever it might be. And you know what? You think by jumping on social media and by, interacting in a way where it's considered normal, okay? Because you're the one in your subconscious state thinking that there is such thing, okay? By acting so-called normal to other people that are on social media, you think that everything's okay when all of a sudden you have an eruption, when all of a sudden you start projecting your psychological illness or condition, when all of a sudden you start behaving in such an erratic way that obviously other people, even so-called friends, recognize that you are going through something that is definitely psychological online, okay? So my advice, and I hardly give advice, I always give you my professional opinion, but in this instance, I'm actually going to give you advice. And advice can be taken or rejected. It's totally up to you. My advice is, if you're suffering from some form of psychological issue, or as people call it, mental disorder or condition, I'm not saying to you, do not ever go on social media. But I'm saying maybe social media is not the best thing for you. Do you understand? With certain people, like myself inclusive, yeah? I'm very happy, for instance, because of artificial intelligence. Not that I'm happy that artificial intelligence is taking over human thought and progression. I'm not happy with that, but I am happy to a degree with artificial intelligence because it has helped me now to be able to focus more on certain things I need to focus on, which are more human interaction. Because then it helps, artificial intelligence is able to, message people and, talk to people about particular types of things that I do with my business, for instance. You understand? So I'm not there waiting for someone's message no longer and then having to respond to them physically. Because I have already pre-programmed my artificial intelligence to be able to have a conversation with people that maybe are looking for a particular service from me. You see what I'm trying to say? So I'm happy with artificial intelligence in regards to business, but I'm not happy with artificial intelligence actually taking over my fucking communication, direct communication with a human being, with a being or with a living being of this planet. Do you see what I'm trying to say? I'm not happy with that. But the way things are going right now, you are all creating this awareness for these so-called bodies that are trying to enforce their ways and their agendas on us. Yeah? And the more that you are doing this, the more that you're jumping on social media when actually you should not be on social media because, let me refer back to the other example that I was going to use about, you could have a room full of weak and strong people. And you will find that, for instance, when I joined up the armed forces, 50 people joined up the day I joined up. Yeah? 50 people. 50 guys joined up, or men, or whatever you want to term them. They joined up the day I joined up. And guess how many were left after not even a month? Not even a few weeks, actually. 20. Yeah? So from 50, it dwindled down to 20 people. You know why? Because those other percentages of individuals that thought that they could just join the army, the armed forces, they thought that they had it in them. They thought that they had the potential to become soldiers. Yeah, they thought that nothing could destroy them, could dictate to them, nothing could direct them, nothing could guide them, nothing could, they thought that, I remember even two individuals were saying, they were saying that no sergeant is going to tell me nothing. I'm going to do what the hell I want to do. And guess what? Those were the first to go. Yeah. And in fact, there was the only person, or the only individual that I respected that didn't go, but eventually had to go because of health issues, was an individual that had a heart condition, a major heart condition, which he went over to actually end up getting a pacemaker. You understand? And I respected him more than I respected all those loudmouth idiots that thought that no one can control them, no one can tell them what to do, and that they're hard men. Okay? And it's the same in civilian society. In civilian society, I could get a group of individuals that I know they have different characters, different personalities, different traits, different cultures, different opinions, different weaknesses and strengths. You understand? And I could put them all together in one room, and I can guarantee you that I would be possibly 90% correct in knowing who's going to leave that group and who's going to stay. Yeah? If you was to ask other people that know me, and I'm talking know and how I operate, okay? Hold on. If you was to ask other individuals, I'm going to go in a second, but I'm going to come back. If you was to ask other individuals that know how I operate, I've set up certain things in Great Britain and America and other places around the world, and I continue to do that because I love doing that. I love helping those that help themselves. Yeah. I've set up certain things, and I've had to take in consideration the attitude, the character, the personality, the trait of that person, the culture, and all these other type of aspects of a human being. But when people jump on social media, it's amazing how you just don't take in consideration getting to know somebody. No, what you tend to do is you always try to look at somebody just because maybe they think the same way as you and measure them up to how you live your life. I don't live my life how you live your life. I don't need to measure my life up to your expectancies of who I am to you. If you are a weak individual that gets hurt and very hypersensitive over little comments or people making jokes that at the end of the day are just tongue in cheek, that's nothing to do with them or myself. That's to do with you. And maybe you should take time out and actually learn how to develop a thicker, stronger coat on you to be able to interact with people on social media. Because when you go on social media, you're opening up your whole life to a variety of different characters and personalities. Okay? Some of you are very selective and you only have family members on your pages, or you only have particular individuals on your pages. That I respect. But I don't respect individuals that think that they can come on my page, or they can accept my so-called friend request and then think that all of a sudden, just because I say something that they don't like because it hurt them, in other words, they want to play the victim for the rest of their life, I don't think that that's my responsibility. I actually think it's your responsibility. And this is where great so-called Britain is at right now. The same as the great America. Do you understand? You see, all these countries are in a position where no one is taking responsibility, and you're all trying to project on other people the standards that you live by. Yeah? And this is why the system of wickedness, I call it, you understand, on brutality is winning right now. Because you're all segregated in wanting other people to live according to your standards, but you can't cope with anyone else making any form of alternative opinion and view of how they want to live their way. Do you see what I'm trying to say? I'm going to be back in a second. Hold on 1 minute. Hey, it's me again. It just shows you how busy my life is. A lot of you think that, you know, Jay Ricky does fuck all with his life. Well, no, I got things to do. Going to the subject matter that I just left off, okay? Shana Davis, much love. Thank you for watching. Going for where I was heading was playing the victim, okay? Not only do some of you need to stop trying to assess people and look at people according to living to a particular type of standard that you live by, okay? Not only do some of you need to actually start looking at stop looking at trying to be normal, okay? And instead try to learn methods and techniques of how to be able to cope better instead of blaming other people, okay? But also some of you need to stop playing victims, okay? Because that's really what majority of you are doing, okay? And when I say majority of you, I might not be talking about the people watching this video right now, this transmission right now, this broadcast right now. I might be talking about somebody that actually is just watching this video because someone maybe shared this video to you, okay? What you need to do is stop playing the victim, because every time you play the victim, that's all you become. So it's up to you. If you want to be the victim for the rest of your life, then there's nothing I can obviously say that's going to change that, because that is what you're going to be playing. It's a little bit like people that, you know what, always pretend to be sick. Do you understand? Hypochondriacs. Do you understand? You go to the doctor every fucking day because you feel that your leg's going to fall off. You're suffering this, you're suffering that. You've got a heart attack. Am I here? Oh. Yeah. There's something always happening with you, so you become basically a hypochondriac. I remember working for a patient or a client, a service user, whatever terminology nowadays they use. And I remember one day going to her doctors because she was complaining of, you know, heart palpitations. This was an individual that was not really wheelchair bound, but unfortunately she became obese, and suddenly the only way that she was able to be transported was on a wheelchair. I remember going to her doctor's one day and looking at the doctor's file as he was explaining to me about what medication she was on, and as he was explaining that, I also looked on the next page, which actually fully gave her real conditions, which one of them was, hypochondria. You understand? Not hypochondria, sorry. She suffers from basically a variety of mental health issues. Do you understand? Hypochondriac. So one of them, so that clearly made me recognize that at the end of the day, she actually doesn't have a heart palpitation condition. She just wants to see herself as a sick person constantly. Do you understand? And some of you are actually going through this yourself, you know, because of especially this pandemic. You're starting to think that there's something wrong with you. You're starting to get paranoid, and you think that every time you have an inflamed throat or you're coughing, all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, it's like there's something's happening with me. Yeah. And then you start to get a little bit paranoid, and then before you know it, where before you didn't have an inflamed throat really, you didn't have a cough really, all of a sudden you're coughing constantly and you're having inflamed throats, and before you know it, you're having to take paracetamol, whatever type of other medication there is. And the reality of it is that no, what's happened is that you've allowed your mind, your brain, and this pandemic to actually trigger particular chemicals and hormones inside you that actually make you react now in a particular type of way psychologically, yeah, that causes you to think that you're actually ill when in fact you're not. Yeah. There are individuals that have lost limbs, for instance, like a leg or an arm or whatever. I used to serve with some of the guys that actually were caught up with stepping on mines. And years down the line, after they lost their leg, their arm, they still stated, it's called a ghost arm, a ghost leg. They still stated that they feel that the arm is still there, attached to them. They still feel that the leg is still there, attached to them. This is something that is very strong in the psychology of the makeup of the mind. Do you understand what I'm saying? And a lot of us go through this. Do you understand? A lot of us right now, you know, and jumping on social media and playing the victim on a regular basis and blaming everybody else for how you feel. It is a sign of weakness. That's number one. But at the end of the day, whether or not it's a sign of weakness, it's not going to be healthy for you, because what you're going to have is people condemning you, judging you, and pointing fingers at you and criticizing you on a regular basis. So it's not just going to lead from just you playing a victim. It's also going to you're also going to end up having other psychological issues added to your play the victim type of mentality. Yeah. So again, social media maybe is not for you. Maybe you should go on some other type of platform where maybe they're talking about more creative stuff. Like, you know, you might be into painting or learning about how to paint. My suggestion is go at, you know, you can still be on social media, but go. You can still be on social media, but how about going to groups where basically it's going to benefit you rather than you're going to be totally open to the tsunami of various different types of characters and personalities that might end up attacking you, that might end up saying that you're always playing the victim and what's wrong with you, or this, that, and the other. In other words, not having really that much empathy or sympathy even for you. Yeah? You see, the tool social media is not the problem. Just like the gun and the knife is not the problem. Yeah? Unless you're so out of it that you think a gun and a knife and the tool social media is a problem, that it has its own mind, its own legs, its own arms, and it's a living thing. No, it's not. A gun is not a living thing. Yeah? A knife is not a living thing. It doesn't have its own mind, its own brain. It doesn't just go around stabbing people by itself. Humanity is either going to become the pandemic as well, the virus as well, or you're going to become something better than the virus. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah? So we need to start looking at ourselves in a way where, you know what, it's like, actually, you know what, I need to take responsibility, yeah, for my actions, for how I think, for who I am, for what I'm going through, rather than let me throw myself in social media and think that everybody must worship me, must bow down to me, and must be what I need to be like. And then on top of that, feel that the necessity that they have to then measure up to my standards, because that's never going to happen in the real world. Okay? In the real world, right, it doesn't happen where I can get weak people and strong people together in a room, and then the strong people usually influence just the weak people. No, you're always going to find the weak people want to also influence the strong people. Do you understand? But the reality of it is, in a real world where we're actually interacting with one another in a physical realm rather than in a fantasy world, do you understand? Or in a non-real world. Because this social media, by the way, is not really, you know, I can block you at a wink of an eye. Do you understand? I don't need to interact with you if I choose not to, and I can block you. Or I can just, you know, dismiss you very, very easily and very quickly. But the reality of it is that we have lost the capability of actually interacting with one another because we've become paranoid. We're starting to judge each other more. We're starting to look at each other's differences and use them against each other rather than actually use them to actually recognize that we're in a society that actually has a variety of different types of people. You see, when you walk into a park, you don't just see daisies. You don't just see roses. You don't just see, oak trees. No, you see a variety of different type of plant life. You see a variety of different type of creatures. You see a variety of different type of things. Yeah. But the thing is, you know, humanity, the agenda out there is for us to be, you know, isolated, segregated, and live a life as if you don't measure up to the way we measure our life to, then you are a piece of shit. Yeah? And so this is why the Agenda 2130 and all other types of agendas of New World Order is actually going to succeed. And I'm saying this right now, it's actually going to succeed. Yeah? There was a point in time where I actually had hope for humanity, and I actually looked at humanity in a particular type of way, especially in the West and in Europe, that actually, you know what, you all had a brain. You all actually had rights, and some of you were defending it very well. But unfortunately now it looks like the majority seem to not have any interest in trying to fight the system no more. Not that it's about just fighting the system. It's about actually living your life. Do you understand? Am I here? Am I here? Oh. And don't come back. Go on. It's about living your life. Do you understand? But it's not just about living your life. It's about living your life interacting with other beings around you that also have the capability of also being able to live their life too. Not always according to your standards. Yeah? Not according to your religious standards, not according to your thoughts and how you want to think what is normal and what's not normal, and hence the reason why this video is called, stop trying to be normal. Okay? There's also a certain subsection of society. You understand? I'm talking about particularly subsections of society. The reason why I'm talking about subsections of society right now, and categories even of society right now, is because we have allowed ourselves to be subsectioned. We have allowed ourselves to be placed in categories now. Do you understand? You know, just like there's a farm, and you never see the pigs mixing with the cows and the cows mixing with the hens and all these type of things. No, the farmer usually separates all the herds or all the animals in its own pen and its own place. And obviously, most animals don't eat the same type of thing. So at the end of the day, they obviously have to the farmer has to buy certain types of things. And this is what society has become. Society now has become a farm. Yeah? You have the pigs in one section. You have, which we all know that terminology, who it fits nowadays. Yeah, especially nowadays, the enforcement agencies, especially. We have the pigs in one section. We have the cows in another section. We have the chickens in one section. We have the rats or whatever is called vermin. You understand? That usually is controlled. You understand? Etc. 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 Do you see what I'm trying to say? And all in all. The dog, which is usually the one that is actually responsible or is given the responsibility to actually control everything, the dogs are actually controlling society, and the pigs obviously are enforcing whatever the dogs are dictating. But ultimately you have the farmers, you understand? The farmers now seem to be within society the corrupt bodies or the corrupt entities that are being created by us. You see, we all like to blame the government for behaving the way they're behaving, but actually they are a corporation behaving how the rules and regulations of that corporation tells them to behave. Yeah? In fact, the government actually doesn't control nothing. It's the shadow government, the ones that are pulling the strings of those that we see with our physical eye. Yeah? They're the ones actually controlling things. Yeah? Yes, Headley, Animal Farm. There is a book called Animal Farm and a film. But you got to be careful because there's another pornographic film called Animal Farm, so please don't watch that one, okay? Another subsection of society, apart from the religious people, apart from the people that suffer from mental health issues, and apart from people that are playing the victim, there's also another subsection of society, and that's the paranoid, yeah? The paranoid members of society, which I've just spoken about, yeah? They're also suffering, yeah? Issues, do you understand? Because they're thinking that, you know what, people have let me down, X amount of people are doing certain things against me, so now, instead of actually recognizing that it's me that needs to be careful who I mix with and what kind of people I let into my life, no, I'm going to now become paranoid. Yeah, I'm going to hold the flag of paranoia and wave it in people's face and judge them, condemn them, and tell them how they are this, that, and the other. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So in other words, you understand? Your paranoia, when you're paranoid, no one can sway you from changing your mindset. You have decided to be the steward of paranoia. Yeah? You have decided that I'm going to judge every single human being the same way that I have already been gone through with one human being, and I'm going to, paint. There's a famous phrase, paint the town red, or use the same brush to paint everybody in the same perspective. Okay. Now, at the end of the day, paranoid people, this is what you're doing. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is what you're doing. You understand? Yeah? And paranoid people, you're in the same boat as people that are suffering right now from serious mental health conditions or physical conditions that are allowing their physical or mental health condition to actually create friction, okay? Because there's a difference between having mental health issues and physical conditions, disabilities, and, still actually interacting with beings, living beings, yeah, in a positive manner, okay? There's a big difference, yeah? You can look at your physical condition and you can look at your mental condition and make others feel guilty or sorry for you, or, you can attack others for not understanding you or, accepting your mental health condition or your physical disability. You can continue to do that all your life if you want. And I'm not suggesting for 1 second, I'm not talking about those that are fighting, yeah, to explain to people how they need to be more aware that other people have mental health conditions and physical disabilities. I'm not talking about that, yeah, because I know there's some people that, for instance, they have disabilities, but it's invisible to us. Yeah, their disability is something that, it could be autism or it could be some other type of issue. Do you see what I'm trying to say? I ain't talking about that. Yeah, I'm talking about people that basically use their mental health illness, yeah, the psychological, conditions, you understand, or physical conditions, to actually force people to make them feel bad, negative, and create even arguments. Do you understand? Yeah, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that, because at the end of the day, it's better to actually just let someone know that you suffer from a particular condition or illness, and see whether or not who that individual really is. You see, if I have a cycle, when I was going through my depression, if I told people that I'm going through my depression, yeah, you will know who your friends are. Yeah, when you say to someone you're going through whatever you're going through, or you have a particular condition or illness, yeah. And I remember saying to certain individuals, I'm going through a depression right now, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, they would disappear, vanish. All of a sudden they wouldn't talk to me anymore. Yeah. So for me, it's like, it's very easy to decipher, well, I ain't never fucking interacting with that fucker again. Do you see what I'm trying to say? And it's really simple. Do you understand? So by being forthright, by being, saying to people that you have whatever you have, and maybe it could be an issue in the future, as you start to get to learn to know them, their character, their personality, yeah, then it might actually occur, yeah, to that individual, when you behave in a particular type of way, to actually be, more considerate to you, and to actually be a little bit more tolerant with you. Like, there's an individual just the other day, I had to say to her, have you been taking your medication? Because she started to want to argue about something that was not worth arguing about. And I know her condition, usually when she doesn't take her medication, this is what happens to her character, personality. It affects her. So when I started to mention, have you taken your medication? And she said no, obviously I was then able to suggest to her to continue to take her medication, and if she has any issues or whatever, to try this organization. That is a new organization that I found out, to try them, because it seems that the real problem was with her isolation. Yeah. And Boris the other day on TV, terrestrial TV, actually stated very clearly that he's not only understanding and seeing the issues of mental health issues, the NHS as well as other different type of organizations at breaking point because of people with mental health issues, you understand, and physical disabilities. But also he's given X amount of billions, apparently, and it's funny how he can always find the money at some point. He's given X amount of money, towards people that are suffering from mental health conditions right now. So what am I trying to say? Right now, you're going to see the biggest peak, yeah, of people suffering from mental health conditions that are always trying to make you measure up to how you must understand what they're going through. When in reality, what is really happening is that maybe they're not taking their medication, maybe they're isolating themselves too much, maybe the regular appointments that they used to have, whether it be in a particular type of club or whatever, maybe they're not going to that no more. So now they totally don't know how to interact with human beings no more. You understand? And you're going to find that there's a majority of people now, turning to crime that also have mental health conditions, but know that because they have the mental health condition and they do the crime, the police can't necessarily lock them up indefinitely. So what's happening is that certain people are actually using their mental health conditions as well as physical conditions to actually do crimes because they know that the law can't lock them up indefinitely, or let's say for a certain period of time. So that's very scary. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Because we're going to have people that are not just your regular every day-to-day stupid ignorant burglar, stupid ignorant pedophile. No, these people are going to think that they can do whatever the shit they want to do to our houses, our bodies, our children, our community, because they know that ultimately the law states that they can't be locked up. They can be institutionalized for a certain period of time and all this, that, and the other, but they can't actually be locked up forever. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So that's me talking to your section of people. And then there's also people that are spying on you. You see, there's certain people that don't actually belong to any of these categories. Don't belong to religious fanaticism, don't belong to don't have mental health issues or physical conditions, and not paranoid, but actually, you got fuck all better to do than spy on other people, because right now we're living in the most craziest time, as you all know, that basically you feel. Can you go? You all feel that you can now spy on each other, because you've got fuck all to do with your life. Right now is the best time to actually do online courses, to better yourself, or to, this pandemic is not going to last forever. So at some point you're going to probably go back to work and do your same shitty job that you were doing all the fucking time. And instead of actually taking advantage right now and actually doing an online course, you understand? Hold on one second. Hello, me again. So, some of you don't belong to any of these categories, but at the end of the day, let me say this to you. Some of you need to understand, overstand, and understand now's the great fucking time to actually do an online course. I have pushed out my own online, you could say, courses, or college, or institution, or whatever the fuck you want to know it. I've got my own that I pushed it out, and so far only one person has actually taken up a course, and that one person seems to be a person that is actually, not only are they physically disabled, but also housebound. Isn't that amazing that a person that has a physical disability and housebound has managed to actually fucking better themselves in this pandemic and actually taken up one of my courses? Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah? So instead of spying on other fucking people because you got fuck all to do with your life, and in fact you're actually probably, in a twisted type of way, you're actually for the New World Order. Do you understand? Instead of doing that, instead of, thinking that you can just let's give up now and let's just work for the New World Order because maybe there's more money there. Yeah? Shit, man. No, what you should be doing is fucking jumping on social media and looking for opportunities where there's online courses. With me, with all my social media, it gives you the opportunity to actually have the adverts that you're watching on social media. Yeah, it gives you the opportunity to actually look at the advertising, and have it more geared to what you're looking for, what you like to see. Yeah, so it gives you the option to actually see what the fuck you want. Yeah, So social media, you know, you're all going on about social media spying on me, and social media is like this, that, and the other, and fucking shit. No, social media is trying to help you in some instances. I'm not suggesting that I love social media, because I don't. I don't love it. I use it for business. I use it for particular purposes. I use it to literally save people's lives sometimes, because, you know, so many people, X amount of people have, you know, not committed suicide, thank goodness, and still here, not because of me, but because of the messages that I have for them, or because of the message. You understand? So I'm very grateful for that. Yeah, I'm very grateful that I can use the tool of social media. However, a lot of you spies, you understand, because you think, for instance, like, you know, when you see Ricky J on pushing posts out on social media, you think that that's all I do. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's all I fucking do. On social media, 24 hours a day, just fucking living off social media, and I don't work, I don't eat, I don't breathe, I don't fucking whatever. I don't know. You think maybe I'm like, what, Max Headroom? Some of you, you know, Max Headroom is before your time. Max Headroom used to be a digital character that actually was meant to be so-called a computer animated so-called human being that, you know, people would just, he would make jokes and introduce certain types of things. You understand? I'm not a Max Headroom. I have to live just like everybody else. I have to exist. I have to fucking function. I have to make sure my bills are paid too. Yeah? So maybe rather than spying on fucking people, and rather than looking at how other people are living their fucking life and acting the victim and all the rest of the shit that you do, how about you take up an online course and come away from fucking social media? Social media and interacting with everybody and feeling hurt and all the rest of it and weak and feeble and blah, blah, blah will not help you progress in life. You know what my father used to tell me? Bang, smack, bang, smack. Every time I never used to fucking pass my test or do something constructive in making sure that I've passed an examination of some sort. Yeah. Now, was that a good thing? No, it's not a good thing. Up to recently, Scotland was apparently one of the first to pass legislation that you can't no longer smack your child. Okay, no problem. I don't agree with that, because there are some children at particular ages, especially, that, boy, they need a good, not necessarily maybe smack, but a fucking good ear pulling. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because they don't listen, because they think that they have already established who they fucking are in their mind, and they don't want no one to tell them what to do and how to do it, because they know better than mummy and daddy. Well, it doesn't work that way. Yeah? But hey, this is the way the agenda is going, and this is the way adults seem to be having no power now. Do you understand? Because we are giving up our consent, we are giving up our we're making them we're being enforced to contract with them, and so they can dictate how we live. Do you see what I'm trying to say? There's another section of you as well, yeah, the whole subsection of you that all you do all your fucking life is jump on social media and make presumptions, which flows into what I was saying before. Make presumptions, assumptions, judgments, and condemnation, and project and mirror your fucking fuckery on other people. Well, to you, again, you're just parasitical. That's the only word that I can use. If you learn what a parasite is, it tries to attack the host of what it's trying to attack. And then once it uses and abuses that host, in other words, it sucks out the fucking life of that host. You understand? All the happiness, all the joy, and all the life of that host. Then you move on to the next individual, and you do the same fucking fuckery. Yeah? You judge them, you condemn them, you make negative assumptions and negative presumptions on them, and you start projecting when they obviously start fighting you back. You understand? Now, the best way, by the way, for you people that are having individuals like this come into your inbox or to your social media platforms or to your website or wherever, however, even in real life, the best way to deal with these type of individuals is by do not project when they are projecting, and don't mirror their behavior. Don't mirror anything what they're saying to you, and don't project. Now, obviously, if they place their finger on you, yeah, if they put their hand on you, or your daughters, sons, etc., family, blah, 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 then obviously you have the right to be able to defend yourself and restrain that individual in using particular type of methods and techniques. Okay, so don't think restrain is breaking someone's head against the sidewalk. Okay, that's not restrain. That's brutalizing, killing someone, and maybe putting them in in certain types of compromising conditions. You understand? For the rest of their life. No, learn how to restrain someone. Learn how to ignore people. You understand? We're living right now in a moment where people have fuck all better to do than judge people, condemn people, pretend that they're the victims, spy on you, and all types of fuckery. Do you understand what I'm saying? But what I'm trying to say to you is that if you are engaging in any form of conversation with anyone, especially online, and they start making any forms of assumptions, presumptions, judgments, and even try to even condemn you, as long as it's tongue-in-cheek, it's just the joke. If it's a joke, no problem, yeah? And what I mean by if it's a joke, it's like, people have judged me, condemned me, and said whatever, but then they quickly state that they're only joking, yeah? But then I don't get paranoid about that, but I am looking for them to do that again and again and again until eventually I state to them, right, for some reason you seem to condemn me and judge me and accuse me of all type of fuckery and then say it's just a fucking joke. I tell you what, fuck off, yeah? So this is for people that can actually say fuck off to people, okay? Because I know some of you don't want to use that language, you don't even think of, those unholy, disgusting words, and you are all righteous and perfect and whatever. Any other word that you want to replace fuck off with, do it. That's what I'm trying to say, okay? You don't need to mirror people. You don't need, especially parasitical people, you don't need to mirror them. You don't need to participate in any form of person that is negative or project your shit or their shit onto you. You understand? You don't need to do it. We're living in a generation now where the weak are pretending to be strong, and the strong are pretending to be weak, so that we can all somehow, be compromised. Okay. Now I'm going to say this to you, and this is the end of the video now, coming up to the end of the video. And before, yes, I usually say it's the end of the video, but all of a sudden it's like I go on for the next 10 minutes or so. No, this is the end of this video. This broadcast is long enough, and it's filled to the fucking brim of exactly what type of people we are living amongst right now in so-called Great Britain. And the title of this video is Stop Trying to Be Normal, okay? Because the word fucking normal doesn't really exist, right? It exists if we create it. It exists if we're always having something else to, make it so. You understand? But the reality of it is, it's like we're the only ones that govern ourselves. No one else should be governing you. No one else should be dictating how you should live. No one else should be enforcing what you must do with your life. Okay? We govern ourselves, especially under common law. We govern ourselves. But you know what it is really? Rather than pretending to be strong and you're weak, rather than pretending to be weak and you're strong, rather than, trying to have everybody being inclusive. My father used to say to me, you should be able to get on with everyone in society and in the world. In business, maybe, but not in the fucking reality. You understand? In reality, there will be people that you're going to meet that you're not going to get on with. There will be people that you're going to come across that you can't tolerate for one fucking second. Okay? Because they push your fucking buttons, or because vice versa. Okay? So, honestly speaking, get a fucking grip of your life. Yeah? Where you want to go. Yeah? Not where your book is telling you to go, not where your invisible deities and saviors are telling you to go. Get a hold of your life. Be responsible for your development, your evolution. Yeah? And overstand and then understand and understand that you don't have to pretend, that you don't have to be forced, that you don't have to project, and you don't have to mirror nothing negative, okay? And when you do that, when you start to do that, you start to live a balanced life. You see, balance doesn't come. You see, some of you think balance just comes. Oh, here's balance. Oh, finally I'm balanced. No, you have to understand your chemical makeup, your hormonal makeup. You have to understand your mental well-being. Yeah. Where are you mentally right now? You have to understand, yeah, your physical disabilities or, you know, your physical limitations. Okay. Because some of you are not necessarily physical, you don't have physical disabilities, but you are limited in some shape, way or form. Like, for instance, I know that I can't do the fucking backflip that I used to do when I was 15, 16, yeah? Now, at the age I am now, yeah, and I'm not giving away my age, yeah, I can't do that no more. So there's a limitation already there physically for me. Do you understand? Because the last time I fucking tried it, I nearly killed myself. There you go. Yeah? And that's another reason why I don't fucking try to do that again. You understand? Although I do miss the old days when I used to be a dancer and, you know, I used to be able to do anything, nearly anything, or I felt anything with my body, I can't do it no more. So it's about not necessarily looking at that as a negative, but rather realizing your limitations. Okay? Now, if you don't want to realize and recognize none of that shit that I'm talking about, and you just want to float through life, always trying to make people you know, reach, you know, your level, always, always trying to, what the fuck is this? Always trying to make people, you know, measure up to your personal, you know, belief systems and, you know, visible saviors and deities and stuff like that. I was going to finish, actually, let me quickly say. I was going to finish off by saying, some people might feel justified by pointing out something to me about my ancestors. Now, I've said in the past, ancestors, some of the ancestors that I am guided by, to a degree are invisible. Although I actually do see some of my ancestors, I actually do see them. See them as clear as I see myself and other people. But sometimes I don't see the ancestor that's talking to me and guiding me, okay? And like I said, there's a difference between religion and deities and saviors and books that apparently have all the answers to life in one book, and my ancestors. My ancestors, I don't follow my ancestors, I'm guided by them, okay? You see, I have a brain, so I have to make the decision or the choice to want to actually do what they are showing me to do, yeah? So there's the difference. With most religious people, they just look at the rules and regulations, and if they break one of those rules and regulations, I dare you, you religious people, I dare you to break one of those rules and regulations and see what happens, and see how you all of a sudden are not in the good books from your heads of the hierarchy that you follow, yeah? I guarantee you what's going to happen to you is not good, okay? But you see, with my ancestors, it's not about good or bad, right or wrong, because I haven't lived under that suppression and oppression how you do, and how you've been taught and institutionalized to live. Because I've lived in a particular type of culture that teaches me about nature. Nature is the queen. You know, you got Mother Earth, you know, and you got Father Earth too. Do you understand? You got the spirits, you know what I'm saying, of, you know, the north, the south, the east, the west, etc., etc. You understand? So my philosophy and my understanding of how I live my life is very different from the Western European philosophies. You understand? That you've been indoctrinated with. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I think my way of living is better than yours. I never said that. Yeah, if you rewind the video 1,000 times, you probably never hear me say that. I'm just suggesting that maybe you need to look at how you have been living all your life and now change that. Now you are an adult with a conscious mind that is able to make choices. That's what maybe you need to do. Rather than, oh, well, my mother and my mother's mother and all my family was in this religious belief system, so I need to also fucking carry it on. Because if I don't carry it on, it's going to die. Well, religion always will die if no one carries it on anyway. Do you understand? Yeah? But the ancestral guidance that we all have, because we all have ancestors, even people we hate have ancestors too, yeah? They never die, yeah? They're always there, waiting for us, yeah, for us to connect to them and for us to be guided by them. Do you see what I'm trying to say? But then it's our choice if we want to hear them, just like it's my choice if you want to hear this message or you want to reject it or you want to think that, oh, J Rick is full of shit or Ricky J or whatever you want to call me. So I'm going to leave it there. And I'm going to say thank you very much if you have listened from the beginning of this transmission and you feel that anything I've been saying in this message is illuminating or has illuminated you in any shape, way or form, please share it. If you feel that you have loved this message because it's helped you to have a little bit more clarity in your life and maybe motivating you, or some form of motivation, you understand, to be able to actually better your life and do something about, you know, your situation, circumstances, then, you know, again, share it. Do you understand? Because this message is not just for you. This message is for everybody. Yeah. Again, I'm going to make it very clear. I'm not interested about this, the messenger. The messenger is not the key factor in this message. The message is the key factor. Okay. So thank you very much for listening. And you know what? Walk, yeah, as a universal, living, independent, divine, sacred soul that has multi-dimensional, yeah, skills and talent, okay, in this dimension, right? And recognize who you are, right? Without measuring yourself against anyone else, anyone else's belief systems, anyone else's governance over you, and anyone else's likes or dislikes about how you are living, okay? And put in place something for you, right? Have some morals, have some standards, yeah? Recognize that, you know, certain things that you're doing is not going to be positive, especially if you want to live in a community, yeah? And just recognize that, you know what, it's like the more you help your fellow man and woman, child, yeah, is the more you're going to actually be enjoying your life and be feeling that you actually have some form of worthwhile position, mission, and purpose in this life. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Most of us, that's what we need to do. You see, we're so sat down in our own selfishness and our own belief systems of how we must be and what we should be doing, that we're forgetting that actually, when was the last time you gave anything to anyone else? And I'm not talking about taking your junk and taking it to a charity store or throwing it outside the door of the charity store. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, when was the last time you sat down with somebody that was homeless? You went somewhere where there was a charitable event where you could interact with people that suffer from whatever, yeah? Whether it be psychological or physical disabilities or conditions or illnesses or sicknesses. When was the fucking last time you did that? Yeah? Yeah? Humanity is to show that you're being humane to another human being. Yeah? If you have never done that, then how the fuck do you know you're humane? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah? There's plenty of people in Great Britain, you understand, that didn't want to go to war with another country. Doesn't matter what fucking country it was. Then you didn't want to go to war. You didn't want Great Britain armed forces to drop bombs on people. But what did you actually do, physically do, to try to prevent that from happening again? Most of you did fuck all, okay? And that's the reality, right? If you want to argue with me, I'm not here to argue. So you go to your wall in your house or outside and you talk to the wall if you want. I'm not here to argue with people. I'm here for you to wake up and listen to the fucking message rather than the messenger. I don't want to be loved and hugged and adored and liked, and you know, you don't need to comment, okay, on any of my posts or anything what I say, but you really need to assess your life and be responsible for yourself and stop blaming everybody else and trying to have everybody else measure up to your fucking standards. That's what you really need to do. Yeah? Because then you'll have some fucking worth to yourself as well as others. Yeah? Then you won't feel so fucking isolated. Yeah? Then you will feel that you actually have a purpose, a mission, and a function, rather than right now you feel, oh, I'm going to just die and people are going to forget me. Do you understand what I'm trying to say, people? Peace and power to each and every one of you. I am who I am. Not because of you and not because of others, but because of ancestors. Yeah? If you forgot every damn thing that I've said in this video from beginning to end, please, I ask you one little thing. Learn in this moment that you're going through about the ancestors. Yeah? I don't give a shit how you or what you use to learn. Yeah, the internet or any other type of things. Just accumulate information, study it, research it for yourself instead of just listening to other people tell you how things are. Yeah, because that's what religion does. Religion it's a dictatorship of this book was written fuck knows how many thousands of years ago, and even though it was revised fuck knows how many thousands of times, you still must fucking follow it. And you must believe it as if it's the truth. Yeah? No, I'm not asking you to do that. What I'm asking you to do is look at every aspect of life, all the elements of life, nature, and actually start to live your life in conjunction with all that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, because we're all interconnected in some shape, way, or form, but that doesn't mean that we all have to fucking get on with each other 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because that's not reality. Yeah, if you want to live a life of fiction, you pretend that you can get on with everybody all the time. If you want to live a life of reality, then, there are some people that you won't be able to talk to ever, but you can be amicable. You can actually not have to fight them. You can show them a little bit of manners by saying hi and bye, and that's it. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Yeah? You don't need to be horrible to people. You don't need to be vindictive. You don't need to be, you all know what the fuck I'm talking about. Yeah. Now, for those people that think I'm, what do you call it? Negative, a manipulator, a psychopathic, mentally ill, all these other type of wonderful titles that I've heard people try to place on me, and yet they're the actual ones that are, all those titles, because obviously all they're doing is projecting. You know what? Okay, you go ahead, living your life the way you think that you should be living your life, by projecting and mirroring. But I will definitely say this to you, that at some point, especially when age starts hitting you, you're going to start to recognize, as you look back at your life and all you've been doing is projecting, and mirroring negative behavior, that at some point you're going to realize that you've been wasting all your fucking life. Yeah? You've been wasting your life instead of being a good steward of your life and be able to be developing certain aspects of yourself, your character, your personality, your issues, dealing with certain things, implementing particular type of things. It's like, you know what? You're going to, at some point, understand, overstand, and understand that I've actually wasted most of my life. Okay? Now, when you actually recognize that and see that, you're going to see, or you're going to remember maybe an individual like myself or someone that had a message warn you that is what you're doing. Okay? Yeah? You're wasting your energy. And then you're going to actually regret. Yeah? And in some cases that can actually drive you mad. That in itself can drive you insane. That people, you suddenly have an awakening where people have been trying to warn you. You're wasting your energy. And then suddenly, years down the line, when now you are an old fart, yeah, you start to recognize you don't have that energy no more to, be in constant conflict and war with people. Suddenly that could drive you mad. Okay. So my suggestion is, now you have the opportunity to actually turn around and redress a lot of the wasted energy that you had done to other people. Do something about it now, okay? Because if you don't, there will come a point where the judgment call will be had on you, yeah? And I'm not talking about religious judgment call. I'm talking about suddenly you will have an awakening where you have realized you have wasted all your life arguing with people for no fucking reason, okay? So my suggestion is, Stop being negative. Stop spying on people. Stop being a waste of fucking energy. Yeah. And actually do something with your life. You know what I'm saying? You could do anything. You could take a course online. Right now, you could do anything. If you have a basic talent or a basic skill, fucking do it. You think that you're good at baking, start baking. And before you know it, you might even have your own fucking business. If you think that you can sing, fuck it, go ahead and sing. There's one beautiful sister that's on my page, and she is a burn victim, right? And she, you know what? I love this sister. I love her to bits. She doesn't hide her burns, and she went on Britain's Got Talent, I think, and X Factor, and all these other type of. She's a beautiful singer. Her voice is like angelic, as they say, you know. And she gets on with her life. She gets negative comments constantly, and people condemn her, judge her, and all the rest of the shit because of why she's now living her life to the max. You know what? It's a shame that most of you can't see when you don't have particular major burns to your body or have had near-death experiences. It's a shame that you can't see that. But at some point, you know what? Age has got a funny fucking way of catching up to each and every one of us. So right now, you could dismiss everything I've said, but hey, one day, you watch what's going to happen. Peace and power to each and every one of us. Sandy, I see you. Yvonne, I see you. Tracy, I see you. And everybody that's been part of this broadcast, I love you with as much as I can. I understand some of the stuff that you're all going through. I don't understand all of it because I might never go through some of the stuff that you're going through. But you know what? To live a life of conflict is not a positive thing. Yeah. What am I talking about? I'm not talking necessarily about mental or physical conflict. I'm talking about knowing that you have the power to change something or do something and you don't actually act upon it is conflict. Okay. So maybe try and do something. Now, if you can't, because of your physical disability or mental, get someone else to do it for you. And what I mean by that is, like, if you want to paint something, I've seen people that have no arms, no legs, thalidomites, and have only the ability to be able to paint something, for instance, with just their mouth. They do that. Or they say to somebody, can you do this? So you can direct a person, you can guide a person to, put your image on a canvas. Okay. So there's no fucking excuse. Okay. Yeah. We can look for a million fucking excuses right now, or we can actually combat the internal monsters and skeletons that we allow to live in our mind, okay? In ourselves, right? So it's up to you. The choice is yours. You heard it from J. Ricky right now. Ricky J, thank you very much for watching. As I said, if you forgot everything about in all the stuff that I've been talking about in this video, then please do me a favor and learn about ancestors, because you need maybe guidance from a source that is definitely reputable and is definitely solid. Okay. Because maybe my words are not solid. Maybe my, how I try to, express how people need to direction in their life is not good enough. One source that is definitely, I know 100% always good, ancestors. Okay, so learn to connect to ancestors. That doesn't mean that you need to dig up all history and this and that. Just sit down wherever the fuck you are, on your bed, in your house, outside, in nature usually is a good place, and just start talking to ancestors. Be very direct and specific that you want the ancestors to, you're talking to the ancestors. You don't have to call certain individuals, but if you do, it's okay. But at the end of the day, talk it out, talk out your issues, talk out your problems, talk out your insecurities, talk out your suppression, talk out your oppression. You understand? Because if you don't, you're going to just hold them all in, and it's going to be all boxed in until one day somebody maybe says something that you don't like, press the wrong button, and you're going to attack them or do something even worse. Peace. Share the video.